Hi, I'm Michelle Sterling for Friends of Science Society. You know, there are some very concerning signs in our economy lately. There have been some reports out, one from the C.D. Howe Institute, another from the Fraser Institute. Jack Mintz had an article about Canada's stagnating economy in the Financial Post. These are signs that no one can ignore anymore. And if we look around the world, especially, say, Germany, very industrialized country, but with the conflict in Ukraine and the destruction of the Nord Stream gas pipelines, of course, their economy is really suffering because they just don't have the energy that they need, that they used to get, most of it from Russia. So, on the one hand, people might say, well, that's just world affairs and you know, there's not much we can do about it. But I was reading Paul McRae's book, Through the Looking Glass, a citizen's do-it-yourself guide to climate science. Paul is the senior editor of the Climate Realists of British Columbia's website and many of their publications. And in his book, I ran across something which we used to have an excerpt of it on our original website. And a lot of people used to accuse us of having a tinfoil hat for having this comment from Maurice Strong. But I just want to read you a little bit of this and see if it doesn't resonate with what's going on now. So, Paul writes that the climate alarmists' ultimate goal is to destroy the capitalist system. These three climate statements may only make sense in the climate context if it is the IPCC's job to provide scientific cover for what some politicians and bureaucrats wanted to do anyway, which appears to be to sacrifice the economy to save the environment, but with the ultimate goal of creating a socialist, communist social system. Now, Maurice Strong was a Canadian who was one of the lead founders of environmentalism. He organized the first Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro in 1992, and he made this connection between politics and the environment crystal clear. And this was the quote we used to have on our website. We may get to the point where the only way of saving the world will be for industrialized civilization to collapse. So Paul goes on to talk about the Club of Rome, which had issued a report in 1972 called The Limits to Growth, and it predicted widespread shortages of key industrial minerals and food in coming decades. Now, none of that happened. Actually, food production went up worldwide because we improved agricultural technologies and especially fertilizer. So, you know, fertilizer relies on natural gas for its production. And now people are trying to limit natural gas. And in the 1991 Club of Rome book, The First Global Revolution, they included this passage: "The common enemy of humanity is man. In searching for a new enemy to unite us, we came up with the idea that pollution, the threat of global warming, water shortages, famine, and the like would fit the bill. All these dangers are caused by human intervention, and it's only through changed attitudes and behavior that they can be overcome. The real enemy, then, is humanity itself." Now, see, that was about the time that the Cold War ended. That was in 1991, and it's sort of like a lot of the communist socialist ideology simply transferred into the climate change movement. Another thing that Paul Ehrlich wrote in The Population Bomb predicting mass global famines by the mid-'80s, which didn't happen. But he said the massive campaign must be launched to de-develop the United States. De-development means bringing our economic system into line with the realities of ecology and the world resource situation. So all these people have been in power in many places for a long time, and it seems like a lot of this ideology is now coming into fruition. In fact, there are a number of blog posts and websites all about degrowth, books about degrowth. In fact, I just saw a website earlier this evening about the Climate Overshoot Commission, which is a group of sort of retired former politicians who were active in the environmental front. And they're all planning to do things like dim the sun and destroy capitalism, basically. And you know, who does this all benefit? It benefits only one country in the world, China. And China has a plan. They have a plan called Made in China 2025, which that's only a year away. So if all of the Western industrialized nations suffer degrowth due to extreme climate policies, then China wins. And China also has a goal of being the world dominant power by 2049. So, you know, all I can say is I don't think that we have a plan similar to theirs. I don't know that we have a future vision. So I'd like to recommend that you read Paul's book, Through the Looking Glass, A Citizen's Do-It-Yourself Guide to Climate Science. And you might also enjoy his first book, which came out, I think, in 2010, False Alarm, Global Warming, Facts versus Fears. And it's surprising that, what are we now, almost 15 years later, this book and its contents still stand the test of time. But I think that we're in a very serious situation now in Canada and in the Western world. You know, North America and Europe, we only make up 15% of the world's population. And we're on a path of self-destruction as long as we keep on the climate path. And where did it all begin? Well, with the Paris Agreement. And what can we do to stop it? Well, let's quit Paris. That'd be a good start. For Friends of Science Society, I'm Michelle Sterling. By the way, Robert Lyman has a new report out called SS Canada, Off Course and Heading for Icebergs. Have a look.